So hello everyone. Today I will be interviewing our librarian, Miss Ramsey, on the topic of trauma-informed curriculum and trauma-informed literature in a classroom and how that can impact students in urban classrooms. I'm Aziza Basha. I'm a 5th grade teacher here at Canada, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Tracy Ramsey, and I have been at Canada a really long time. I was a classroom teacher, and I've recently transitioned to the library.
I love that. And so how recent was your transition to the library?
This is my 3rd year.
Awesome. So you've been in the library a fair amount of time, but you've just recently left the classroom too, so it's like the best of both worlds.
Right.
Okay, so for my project, I decided to target trauma-informed literature and its value and importance in our classrooms, because based on what I see, the students I serve do typically come with some trauma, and some more so than others. And I would love for them to be able to experience their own connections to literature that we read.
Right.
And I haven't come across that in my classroom as a reading teacher.
Yes, I think it's super important for kids to see themselves in books, and not just themselves as characters, but like their situations, so that they can connect to it. And I know our library really doesn't have a ton of, we have a lot of diverse books, but we don't have a ton of books that about trauma. But I did find a few examples I can show you, but I am on the lookout for some more titles that we can order and add to the library, because I think it's important for kids to realize that there's literature out there that can help them.
I love that. So that brings me to the question, how can literature serve as a coping mechanism for healing and perseverance for students experiencing trauma?
Well, I think that's just it. If they're reading literature about their situation, it's a way for them to connect and heal.
I agree. And that is what motivated me to look into this. My next question is what kinds of texts, I see that you have selected a few.
I did pull a few.
Thinking about genres, themes, or specific authors, do you think are most supportive in trauma-informed literacy?
After doing a little research, I know they recommended Patricia Polacco. This is by Trudy Ludwig. This is called The Invisible Boy, and it's where a little boy who starts a new school, and throughout the pictures you'll notice he's just black and white, where everything's in color, because he doesn't feel like people notice him, and that can be very traumatic, coming to a new school and then realizing, oh, I don't have any friends yet. And so throughout the end of the book you'll see that kindness starts to happen, small acts of kindness, and by the end he's realizing that he's made friends,
and he's in color now. I love that.
Yeah, so just a good example of a kid that's feeling that way. They could totally read this and then change their mindset.
I agree, and I agree that feeling invisible can cause a trauma all on its own, like years of just feeling invisible.
Another one I found was Cape. This is by Kevin Johnson, and I cried when I read this book because I didn't realize what it was going to be about.
Oh my. Okay.
But it's about grief and how this little boy loses a family member, and he wears a cape to remind him of his family member. And it was just a really cute story, and I think anyone who's lost someone, this would be a good read for them, to realize that you're always going to have the memories, and they'll never forget.
And loss, you say that you cried. Loss is just a big trauma. I didn't even know we had that in our library. I didn't think we did, so I'm happy that this prompted me to talk to you and get to know that we have this.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm working on as well, is curating resources so that you can know what books we have and how you can use them.
Thanks.
Yes, and there's a couple more that deal with divorce. Divorce is the worst.
Wow. We have a lot.
And we have a lot of kids.
Right.
This is traumatic. I mean, I'm a product of divorce. I know that it's hard for kids sometimes, so maybe reading something like this, they can actually connect with it.
And Miss Ramsey, I love that you shared that about you. I did not know that, and I grew up and still, you know, my parents are still together. And last year, I shared with you how rough my year was. I had 8 students whose families were going through divorce, and I could not reach them. I could empathize with them, I could do certain things, but there was just this disconnect. And I do feel like if I had something to guide me, maybe a story that I could read or know of a person who could recommend, you know, like you just did this book,
Something
I think that could have guided me.
yeah,
I could have helped them.
Something that you could use. Yes,
sure.
and then again, Death is Stupid, another book that's really gonna focus on death of family members and grief, and it's a tough thing.
And I see photographs and illustrations in this one.
Yes.
That I find that quite interesting. So we see an actual photograph here, and then the rest is illustrated. This is making it just so real.
Yeah, and in the beginning, I don't know if you noticed, there was a page where it showed the family member, they were in the hospital bed, so that's like their
Yes. Wow.
the progression of it.
Honestly, I am currently getting goosebumps because I feel like we're very hesitant as teachers, as educators. I'm hesitant in what can I say versus what can't I say.
Right.
And I feel like if I was given a curriculum, or if I was given a certain book that's approved by my district and in a classroom, I could with full confidence go in and address certain things that we know.
And not
affect our
even,
kids.
and I was thinking not even whole group. You may just pull a kid aside who's struggling, and it just be something that you do one-on-one with them, or a small group.
Wow.
Lunch bunch.
Lunch bunch, I love that. So that brings me to my final question. As the librarian at our school, how do you recommend teachers in the classroom, and at what time of the day? So like, what content area would you recommend a good time to bring up a powerful book that could address a trauma?
You could do it probably at different times. Definitely during your reading time.
Okay.
It's a good time for kids to connect with characters, but it could be really any time of the day.
I love that.
Really any time of the day. And like I said, it could be something that you just pull a kid aside, so that could be any time of the day. But yeah.
I love this, and thank you so much for these recommendations and doing some research for me.
Yes, of course.
I look forward to using some of these books in my classroom, and I would love to thank Ms. Ramsey for her time.
You're welcome, anytime.
I'm
And I'm
so
still on the
excited.
lookout for more resources, so if you find any my way, we will order them. Send
and
them my way.
I love it, and I am going to pitch this also to our principal and just see about maybe writing a letter to our curriculum writers, or whoever it may be, to incorporate this into our scope and sequence so that we are addressing trauma-informed literacy.
And I'm even thinking also we have our social emotional learning time, our
Yes.
SEL time. That's a perfect time.
That is a perfect time.
where you could touch on one of these.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Ramsey, for your time.
You're
And
welcome.
I am going to take these books.
Okay, you definitely, they're
Thank
yours.
you. Thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
I look forward to working more with you on this topic.
Me
Thank
too.
you for watching.